In this video, I would like to talk about the removal of the Supreme Court judges. In fact, removal of the High Court judges, the procedure is also the same. So, I will be talking about the removal of the judges, and so in judiciary, we have seen the appointment of the judges now, and it is in the collegium system or collegium decides. Now, we are talking about the removal of the Supreme Court judges. So, Article 124(4) Article 124(4) says a judge of the Supreme Court shall be removed from his office except by an order of the President. So, the President of India can remove. So, the first point is President of India can remove. President of India can appoint, President of India can remove. So, the removal can be done by the President of India, but only after an address by both the houses of the Parliament. Okay. So, let me just one second. So, 124(4) President can remove, but only after an address by both the houses of the Parliament. By both the houses, and it is clearly mentioning about the kind of majority. It is a special majority required. It is majority similar to Article 368. What is that? The majority similar to Article 368, that means a special majority. It is a special majority. And this majority is nothing but two-way majority. Two majorities are required. Number one, it should be absolute majority plus 2/3 of the members present and vote should support. Members present and vote should support. So, it is a special majority is required. So, what are we saying? The judges of the Supreme Court can be removed only by the President of India, but only after an address by both the houses with a majority similar to Article 368, that is the majority of the total members of the House, majority of the total, that is what is exactly mentioned. Majority of the total members of the House means absolute majority, and by a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the House present and voting. So, majority of the absolute majority means majority of the total membership of the House. That means what is absolute majority? Absolute majority is equal to, just for your information, absolute majority is equal to the strength of the House. Strength of the House divided by 2 plus 1. Okay. Now, let me just, absolute majority is equal to strength of the plus 1. Okay. Absolute majority is equal to strength of the House divided by 2 plus 1. So, more than the midway, more than 1/2 of the strength of the House should support. And also it is mentioned that it should be supported by both the houses, and it should be presented to the President in the same session for such removal on the grounds of. So, now the judges can be removed on grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Proved misbehavior or incapacity. So, there can be two reasons for the removal of the judges. One is proved misbehavior. The misbehavior should be proved, or incapacity as a judge. A person is incapable, he is not capable of sitting as a judge. So, the President of India can remove Article 124(4) very clear, President can remove, but only after a recommendation by both the houses of the Parliament. And what is that? With a special majority, that is absolute majority plus 2/3 of the members present and vote, only on grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. Please don't forget, proved misbehavior or incapacity. Now, how to prove is not mentioned. So, Article 124(5). Article 124(5) says that the Parliament may by law regulate the procedure to prove the misbehavior. Parliament by law can regulate the procedure to prove the misbehavior of the judges or incapacity of the judges. So, Parliament can make a law. What is the meaning of Article 124(5)? The meaning is the Parliament can make law to have a proper procedure for proving the misbehavior or incapacity of the judges. So, based on Article 124(5), the Parliament passed the Judges Enquiry Act 1968. The Judges Enquiry Act 1968. So, based on Article 124(5), Judges Enquiry Act 1968 was passed, and it prescribed the procedure for how the misbehavior or incapacity can be proved, how to prove it. So, according to Judges Enquiry Act, number 1, a motion for the removal of a judge can be introduced in either house of the Parliament. A motion can be introduced in either house. And in either, that means there is nothing said that only Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or anything. And the presiding officer, at that stage, even the presiding officer, if required, can reject the motion also. See, in fact, when the former Chief Justice of India, again the former Chief Justice, when a removal motion came, in fact, the Vice President in the Rajya Sabha, the Vice President, Sri Venkaiah Naidu, he rejected the bill, saying that there is no basis of this. So, there is even a provision. Normally, the presiding officers will not do that, but in this particular case, the Vice President of India, Sri Venkaiah Naidu, rejected it. It is also possible, but generally not done. So, a motion can be introduced in either house. If it is to be introduced, if in Lok Sabha, at least 100 members should sign the introductory motion. In Lok Sabha, at least 100 Lok Sabha members should sign the proposal. If it is to be introduced in Rajya Sabha, at least 50 members in Rajya Sabha should propose. Okay. So, please remember, it can be introduced in either house, but while introducing itself, the presiding officer, if it is Rajya Sabha, the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, that is the Vice President of India, Venkaiah Naidu, or in Lok Sabha, the Speaker, the presiding officers can reject it if required. They need not give any explanation also why they rejected it. But in Lok Sabha, at least 100 members should sign, and if it is introduced in Rajya Sabha, at least 50 members should sign. And once this is introduced, a 14-day notice to the concerned judge. See, the procedure is same for both Supreme Court and High Court judges. Please don't forget. The procedure is same. For both Supreme Court and High Court judges. 14-day notice will be given to the concerned judge, and once it is introduced, the presiding officer should appoint a 3-member judicial committee. The presiding officer should appoint So once a complaint or once a proposal, once a motion came to the house saying that so and so judge should be removed, the presiding officer should appoint a 3-member judicial, it is purely judicial committee to inquire into the allegations against those judges, to inquire into the misbehavior or incapacity of the accused judge, to inquire the misbehavior or incapacity, to inquire the misbehavior or incapacity of that accused judge. So a 3-member judicial committee, and it is very clear in the Judges Enquiry Act that this 3-member judicial committee, the next point is, should be presided by a serving Supreme Court judge. It should be presided by a serving Supreme Court judge. The second member can be a serving Supreme Court or a High Court judge, and the third member can be an eminent jurist. So all the three should be having judicial experience. It's a pure judicial committee. 3-member judicial committee should be appointed, and this 3-member judicial committee will look into the complaint, and it acts like a pure judicial body. This committee will act as a pure judicial body. It will act as a pure judicial body, and this committee will submit its report. That means there, the accused judge can present his case, he can defend his case, everything can be done. So there will be, proper judicial proceedings will be there, the evidences will be brought, and counter allegation, everything will happen in front of the committee. Then this committee will submit its report to the presiding officer. After inquiry, the committee will submit its report to the presiding officer. The committee will submit its report to the presiding officer for where it was introduced. And now very interesting thing, if the committee finds, or if the committee finds that there is no, or if judicial committee failed to establish the proof of misbehavior, if the judicial committee fails to establish the misbehavior, the proof for misbehavior or incapacity, if the judicial committee fails to establish the proof of misbehavior or incapacity, the Parliament cannot take up any action. The Parliament cannot take up any action. So if the judicial committee failed to prove the misbehavior, if they could not find anything wrong with that judge, if there is no evidence for the to prove the allegation, judicial committee says if this judge is innocent, no further action can be taken by the Parliament. That is the end of the motion. No further. But if the judicial committee if the judicial committee establishes, then the Parliament is free to take action. Now, in the next point is, if the judicial committee finds truth in the allegation, or finds evidence for the to prove the allegation, truth in the allegation. If the judicial committee finds truth in the allegation, then the Parliament is free to take action. I am using the term very carefully. The Parliament is free to take action. Now, till now, in this particular case, after the bill or after the motion was introduced, or rather once the motion was introduced in the House, presiding officer appointed a judicial committee. So till now all the inquiry was purely judicial. The inquiry was purely judicial, no executive action, no legislative action, nothing. But now, once the report came and the report says there is truth in the allegation, now the political action begins. Now Parliament is free to pass it or reject it. If the Parliament failed to pass it with the required majority, the motion is defeated. And that is the end of the inquiry and no further debate. See, even if it is proved by the judicial committee, if the Parliament failed to pass it because of lack of majority in the Parliament, because it requires special majority, if the judge manages to convince a section of the parliamentarians and if they did not vote for his removal, so it's a pure political action begins. Parliament is free not to remove the judge also. Please remember, the Parliament and both the houses should pass it. See, Parliament is free not to pass the resolution with the required majority. Okay, Parliament is free not to pass the resolution with the required majority because there is no pressure on the Parliament to pass it. And if they fail to pass it, that means what? The motion against for the removal of the judge is defeated in the House. Even if one House fails, no provision for even a joint sitting. Even if one House fails, that is the end of the motion. That means this judge can continue to be as judge till his retirement. No further action can be taken. So, and if in between also, I will be talking about some of the cases which happened in India. 3 such cases came up in India subsequently. But in all the 3, Parliament failed to pass the resolution with the required majority, or in some cases even the judges retired or rather resigned in between. If a judge resigns in between also, no action can be taken and judge will continue, or rather no further proceeding will be there. If he resigns, of course he will continue, he will not continue as a judge, but he will enjoy all the perks and pension and everything. And if the Parliament fails to pass it, the judge will continue as a judge till his retirement. So the Judges Inquiry, through the Judges Inquiry Act, the procedure which is created is such that there is a judicial action or a judicial inquiry, and it is purely judicial in nature, which is headed by a 3-member judicial committee, but the report is to be taken up by the parliamentarians. It is a pure political decision, and there will be lots of pulls and pressures for the parliamentarians, and if they could not pass it with the required majority, and the required majority is also very stringent majority, the special majority is required, 2/3 of the members present and vote plus absolute majority is required. In such a scenario, if the Parliament fails to pass it, that is the end of the resolution. The judge can continue as judge even if the allegations were proved by the judicial committee. So this is the provision, and the most important thing you should remember here is no judge in the entire history of India in the last 70 years, we could not remove even one judge, even though many former chief justices have said that at least 20% of the higher judiciary are corrupt. Even in the Prashant Bhushan case, he was also talking about a similar thing only. At least 5 former chief justices have said that at least 20% of the Indian judiciary, especially in the higher judiciary, are corrupt. One retired judge said even the problem in Indian judiciary is the wine and dine judges. Okay, he talked about the wine and dine judges. You know the meaning of it. So another judge said that 20% of the higher judiciary are corrupt. And there are so many instances of corruption cases where even inquiry was conducted, judicial inquiry, this 3-member judicial committee was appointed by the Parliament. They found these judges to be corrupt. Even then we could not remove even a single judge till now. That is where the loopholes are lying. and that is why the Judges Enquiry Act is, or rather the way it is mentioned in the constitution, the provisions in the constitution, there are many loopholes because of which we could not remove even a single judge in the last 70 years. That itself, and you cannot, nobody can claim that there is no corruption, and that is accepted and acknowledged by even the highest in the judiciary. And we have conducted an inquiry. I will be talking about those cases separately in another video. There are 3 cases, and in all the 3 cases it is found that these judges were corrupt. Even then we failed to remove any of them. That means we have to, we need some amendment in the Judges Enquiry Act, as well as the provision for the removal of the judges, to make things a bit more stringent, and so that the guilty can be punished. Right now there are enough loopholes because of which the guilty is able to escape from the from the system, and they are easily escaping, and no punishment till now. That is the sad part of our judges removal or the Judges Enquiry Act till now. So that's all about this provision, and in a separate video I will be talking about the 3 cases happened in India and what happened to those judges.